Children, today we will start a new chapter, and the name of the chapter is the three order. This is the third unit, that is the changing cultural tradition. So we have read so far about the early societies of Mesopotamia. We have read about the Roman Empire, which was spread across the three continents. We have read about the Central Islamic lands. So again we are moving back to the European continent, and we have seen that how the Roman Empire collapsed. So what happened after the collapse of the Roman Empire in European continent, that we are going to discuss over here. So a new structure was in place after the Roman Empire, and what kind of the structure was it, that we are going to discuss in this chapter. So first of all, the Roman Empire got disintegrated in the western side of the Europe. As a result, different tribal feudatories emerged in that area, and they are having their unique way of administration, and most of the ways have been copied from the early Roman Empire. And by that time, Christianization of the European continent took place. As a result, church also became very much stronger at that time, because there was a close link between the ruler and the church. And a new kind of system developed in that area after the Emperor Charlemagne, and who was given the title of the Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope of the Church. As a result, the control of the church became tightened in the European society, especially in the Western Europe, especially surrounding the areas of the France and Germany. So that system was purely based on the land, and that system was called the feudalism. In feudalism, a lord was having a large estate. As a result, he used to control that large estate. He used to look after the law and order of that estate. He was considered to be the lord of the people who used to live in that estate, and he used to collect the taxes from these people, and that was a major source of income for these lords. And there used to be conflict also among the lords in that time. So that all kind of things were known as the feudalism. So in this chapter we will discuss about the medieval centuries of Europe, when feudalism used to be very, very powerful. So you can see that in the slides a pyramid has been shown. So this is a social pyramid which tells us about the setup of the society of that time. You can see that on the very apex of the social pyramid is the church. So church was having the highest authority in the society, because church became very much stronger after the support of the emperor of that time in that area. Then there used to be the king, who used to be at the top of the social pyramid. Then the king was followed by the nobles. So nobles were also minority in the numbers, but they used to be very powerful, because just after the king, the place of the nobles used to be the second highest in the society, and below the noble there used to be the knight. So that was also a class of the people who used to be very powerful in the Roman society, in the European society at that time. And knights used to be generally the soldiers which were hired by the nobles, and at the last there used to be the peasants. And you can see that peasant used to form the base of the social pyramid. So they used to be more in number, but still they used to be very, very less powerful. And peasants were also of two kinds, free peasants and unfree peasants. So this is the society of the medieval European times. So we are going to discuss here the society of Europe of that time in this chapter. Now we will discuss how we have reconstructed the history of that time, and what were the sources through which we have come to know about the society of that time, that is the medieval time of European society. So these are the sources which have been enlisted over here. First of all, documents. Documents played an important part to know the history of that time, because over the last 100 years, European historians have done detailed work on the histories of region, even of the individual villages, to know about the society, to know about the functioning of that village. So a lot of documents were searched by the European historians, and these documents have been obtained from the churches, because churches used to keep the record of the birth, marriage, death, etc. So these documents proved to be very useful to know about the history of that time. And the second was the detail of land ownership. So that was also a document which was found in the archives of the European history, and with the help of that land ownerships and their deeds, we come to know about the society of that time, because these deeds used to be generally signed between the king and the nobles and their further vassalages. So through these we come to know about the social and economic life of that time. And the inscription in the churches which were found at that time, which used to be inscribed at that time, they were also a major source to know the history of that time. And the songs and the stories which were generally sung by the minstrels, who used to move from one place to another place while singing the stories of the famous knights, famous king of that time. So these used to be the stories about the famous heroes in the past of that society. So these songs and stories also provide us a valuable information about the life and the society of that period. So these are the important sources on the basis of which we have reconstructed the history of medieval European society. Now, one famous person, while knowing the history of that time, was Mark Bloch, and he wrote a book, and the name of the book is The Feudal Society. And he had written about the society between 900 to 1300 years, and he described the remarkable details about the social relation and hierarchies of that time. He also wrote about the land management and the popular culture of the period, and he could not write much. He wanted to write a lot, but he could not write much because he was shot dead by the Nazis in the Second World War. But his work was a very important source to know about the history of the medieval European society. Now, as I told you that Mark Bloch was a scholar of that time and a historian of that time, who played an important role. Now, as I told you that Mark Bloch, who was an historian, he played an important role to know about the society of the medieval Europe, that is the feudal society, and he was a French scholar who worked on the concept of feudalism. To him, history is not all about the political history, means the history doesn't tell us only thing about the political people, political ruler, or any political figure of that time, and it doesn't tell us about only international relations and the lives of the great people who used to be very important in that time. Rather, it also tells us about the life of the common people, common culture, and common society. He stressed that geography is also playing an important role in shaping the human history and human attitude and his thinking. So the impact of the geography was also considered to be very important by the Mark Bloch. But he could not do much in this case because, as I told you that we can come to know. Now, what is feudalism? You can see that there is a social pyramid. It has been shown here. Peasants used to form the lowest part of the society. Knights used to be there above the peasants, then nobles, and then the kings. But the determining factor in the relationship between these people was the land. You can see that land is written everywhere. So land used to play an important role in shaping the relationship between these categories of the people. And feud means the piece of land. As a result, the feudalism is a word which has been coined after the land. So means the system which was revolving around the land, that was called the feudalism. Feud means a piece of land. So the system which was connected with the piece of the land and the administration which was connected with a piece of land and centered on a piece of land, that system was called feudalism. Now, what were the features of the feudalism that we will discuss here one by one? A kind of agricultural production based on the relationship between the lords and the peasants, means a piece of land used to be there which was given to the peasant by the lord, and the peasants used to cultivate that piece of the land and the production was done, and that was a major source of the income for the state and the people. Peasants worked on the land of the lord in lieu of labor service, means they were given the labor services, and that labor service may be a piece of land given to them to run their livelihood, or that may be that they were given the necessities of their lives by the lord, and they were also given some sort of money or currency in lieu of their labor which was done on the field of the lord. Peasants got military protection from the lord. Lord used to protect the peasant from the external attack. Lord decided the judicial matter of the peasants. So Lord used to be very powerful. He was also working like a judge, and if there was a dispute among the people who used to live in that estate, so that dispute was sorted out by the Lord himself. Lord was all in all proprietor of the land, means the most powerful person in that estate used to be the Lord, and he was the most powerful also. Feudalism cover economic, political and social aspect of life. So in feudalism we will read about the economic aspect, political aspect and social aspect of the people. So that aspects are totally connected with the piece of the land. That's why this is called feudalism. Now feudal system. So as I told you that at the apex of the social pyramid there used to be the king, and below the king there used to be the nobles who were known as the tenant-in-chief, and thereafter there used to be the knights who were employed by the lords to protect the people and their estate, and below there used to be the peasant who used to. Now we will read about the France and England and their history in the medieval times. So you can see that this is the map of Europe. In the western side there is France and this is the England. You can see that France is having its sea boundary connected with the two water bodies. First is Mediterranean Sea and second one is the Atlantic Ocean. So it has been connected from two sides with the sea boundary. As a result, it has a better opportunity for the trade. Secondly, it is also having the mountain peaks which used to give birth to the perennial rivers, as well as there used to be the vast stretch of the plain area. So this area, that is the Gaul region, used to be very fertile, and this used to attract various people to settle over here. So as we discussed in the earlier chapter also, that by the end of the Roman Empire there used to be internal as well as external strife. So through the internal strife, many Germanic tribes started attacking on the western border of the Roman Empire. As a result, they conquered a large part of the Roman Empire and they set up their independent kingdom. So one such tribe was the Frank tribe. So the Frank tribe started from German areas and it went to the Gaul, and it set up its kingdom over there in the Gaul region and gave it a name that is called France. So France is a name which is there after the name of the Frank tribe. So from the Frank, the word has become the France. And later on, these Frank people became Christianized. They adopted Christianity as their official religion, and there used to be a strong tie between these people and the church. As a result, we can see that there was a marked influence of the church on the society of the Gaul region, or the region which was ruled by the Frank people. So that is the history of the France, and the famous ruler of that time was Charlemagne, who was also given the title of the Holy Roman Emperor, so that the Pope can get his support to promote the Christianity as the official religion. Then there is a narrow channel between the England and the France, and this is called the English Channel. You can see here. So a duke which was from the Normandy. Normandy is the coastal area of the France, which is close to the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. So the Duke of Normandy crossed this English Channel and went to England, and he defeated the ruler of the England, or the monarchs of the England, and he set up his own kingdom over there. In this way, the system which was practiced in the France, that also went to the England, and England also became a part of that system, and that system was the feudal system of the France. So feudal system from France went to the England in that time, and the present queen of the England is also a descendant of that duke who came from the Normandy, and the name of that duke was the William. Now, what was the situation of England before the coming of the William, who was the Duke of the Normandy in France? So England is a name which is named after the Angles. So Angles used to be the people who used to inhabit in that area, and the second community was the Saxons. So this was Anglo-Saxon region. So after the name of the Angles, this became the Angle land, and later on it got deteriorated and it became England. So Angles and Saxons came from Central Europe and got settled in England during the 6th century, and thereafter the name England was derived. The name of the country England is a modification of Angles land, as England was inhabited by the Angles. And feudalism developed in England from the 11th century, when Duke of Normandy crossed the English Channel and went to the England. Now what was the society of the Western European countries at that time, that we will discuss over here. So it is written a quotation over here. Here below, some pray, other fights, still other works. It means there are three categories of people. One which used to pray, means the people who used to be associated with the church, that is called clergy. Other which used to fight for the security of the people as well as the security of their kingdom, means knights and the lords. And the still other works, the most hardworking class of the people that used to work in the field, that was called the peasant. So this is a quotation by a bishop. So here below, some pray, other fight, still other works, means he tells us that there used to be the three kind of people, and these people have been shown in the image also, that these people belong to the church, that is called clergy. This is the class of the people which is known by the name of nobles and the knights. And the last category of the people, you can see that they are working in the farm and the field, so they were called the peasants. Now we will discuss these three orders one by one. First of all, we will discuss the second order. Why not the first order? Because first order was not that important in the European society at that time as the second order used to be important, because feudalism was a product of the second order itself. So first of all, the nobility. Now who were the nobles? Nobles used to be the people who used to be the owner of a vast estate of land. The nobility had a central role in the social processes. They used to be having the central role. As a result, we are discussing first the nobles. You can see that this is the image of a noble. There are many people who are providing service to him, and he used to live a very luxurious life. This is because they controlled the land. There was a lot of income to these nobles. This control was the outcome of the practice called the vassalage. That system was called the vassalage system. In vassalage system, there used to be a senior, and the next one used to be the vassalage of that senior person. Like the vassal, one who holds land under a lord, that is called tenant. So we can say that the lord used to be the vassal of the king, and the knight used to be the vassal of the lord, and the peasant used to be the vassal of the lord as well as the knight. So the word senior or the lord was used at that time for these people, and the lord was derived from a word meaning one who provides bread, means the person who used to provide the bread, that used to be known as the lord. So that kind of people who used to have vast assets, that you can see in the image also, these kind of people used to have a vast estate of the land, and that land was given to the peasant, and peasant used to work in that land, and they used to earn their livelihood. So he was considered to be the lord for these people. The same way king used to be the lord of the noble. So there was a system of seniority. The highest post was given to the king, then the noble, and the lowest was given to the peasant. Now, who were the nobles and what were their powers? So the nobles, who used to have a vast estate of land, they enjoyed privileged status in the society. Their status used to be very high in the society. He had absolute control over the property in perpetuity. The property which was controlled by him, he was the sole owner of that property, and he can do in that area whatever he likes. He could raise troops called feudal levies. So the income which he used to generate from that estate, and that estate was given to him by the king. And while taking that estate as a grant from the king, he used to vow to be loyal to the ruler, and in that loyalty, the ruler used to give him a clod of soil, that is also called the embodiment of the piece of the land that was given to that lord, and that lord was taking an oath to protect that land from the external affair, and he would help the ruler in the time of crisis. So that kind of oath was exchanged by the ruler as well as by the lord, and the lord was supposed to maintain a small troop of the army that was called the feudal levies, and it was maintained from the income which was generated from that estate which was given to the lord by the ruler. The lord held his own court of justice. He was also working as a judge. So whatever dispute used to happen in that area which was controlled by a lord, that was also sorted out by the lord. He could even coin his own money, means he was also having the power to mint his own currency, and you can see that it is a specimen of the currency which is issued by a lord. So lord was very powerful. He was like the king of that particular area which was controlled by him. Now, the noble was the lord of all people settled on his land. Means he used to control the life of the people who used to live in the estate which was controlled by a particular lord. And he owned a vast tract of land which contained his own dwellings. Means you can see that this is the layout plan of the estate which is generally maintained by a lord. You can see that this is manor, this is manorial house which was occupied by the lord. This is the castle where the troops of the lord used to live. And these are the small villagers' houses where the villagers used to live and they used to work in the field of the Lord. And there used to be a church also in that manorial estate. And you can see that there are a variety of crops which used to be cultivated over there. Apart from that, there used to be the pasture land where the Lord used to graze his own animal, as well as the pigeons also used to graze their animals in that area. So the estate used to be self-reliant in many terms. Now this is another image which describes the manorial estate which was controlled by a lord. You can see that this is the manorial house. It is a grand house which was controlled by the lord and his family. The lord used to live in this house, and there was also a church which was a separate entity that was also found in each and every manorial estate. The people generally used to visit the church. They also used to provide the taxes to the church, and the people of the church also used to be very powerful. You can see that this is the image of the water mill which was run with the hydraulic power of the water, and this water mill was also maintained and set up by the lord of that particular estate. And you can see that there are people who are working in the field. These are called the serfs as well as the peasant. Serfs were those people who were the unfree peasant, and there used to be the free peasant as well. There used to be the workshops where the equipment of the lord used to be prepared and they used to be repaired. And you can see that this is the pasture land where the flocks of the sheep and goat used to be grazed, and these flocks also used to belong to the lord as well as to the peasants. So there were some pasture land which was common, and there used to be some part of the pasture land which used to be specially devoted to the lord's cattle. And you can see that there is also woodland, and that woodland used to be a small kind of jungle, and that was used for the hunting expedition or for the hunting game by the lord. So the estate used to be very big estate, and where thousands of acres used to be there, and that estate used to be controlled by the lord, and this is called the manorial estate. And there also used to be the certain other kind of industries or the mills like the windmill, water mill. Apart from that, there used to be the wine mill, and where used to be the mills which used to grind the grain. So these kind of the setup used to be there in a manorial estate, and the lord used to be the owner of that particular estate. Now what was the manorial estate? The grains were grown in the fields. Blacksmiths, carpenters maintained the lord's equipment and refurnished the ornament. So that was generally done in the workshop which was maintained by the lord, and these people, blacksmith and carpenter, used to provide the services to the lord. Stone masons managed their buildings. The building of the lord was maintained by the stone masons. The women of the village areas or the people who used to live in that estate and their children used to work in the lord's wine presses which used to extract wine from the fruits for the lord and his family and his soldiers. The estate consisted of the woodland and forest where lord did hunting. The estate contained the pasture land where the lord used to graze his animals. The church was also having a part of estate. The church was also given a piece of land so that it can also maintain its expenditure. Now you can see that this is the layout plan of a manorial estate. You can see that the entire estate has been divided into different parts. Here you can see that this is the woodland, this is the pasture land, this is the place where the autumn crops are grown, where the winter crops are grown. So the entire estate used to be divided in different parts, and every kind of facility was available in this manorial estate, and the land was devoted for different kind of works for the people, and which was required by the lord as well. This is the common pasture land where the animals of the villagers as well as the lords could be grazed, and these farms may belong to the lord himself, as well as some farms also belong to the knight and to the common people. So this kind of manorial estate used to be there at that time in Western Europe. You can see that this is the dwelling of the Lord, and this is also a church shown over here. This map is also shown in your book as well. Now the Lord used to be very rich, and there used to be continuous conflict in the medieval Europe among different lords and different rulers. So the Lord required some extraordinary soldiers, not only the ordinary soldiers, and the ordinary soldiers of the Lord used to be the peasants, and who used to work as the foot soldier when the time used to be there for their need. And if the time of the crisis would be there, the peasants used to work as the foot soldier, but that kind of the army was not that much skillful, so he wanted a sport of the people who was exceptionally good in the battle. As a result, he created a new class of people, and that was known as the knight. You can see that this is the image of a knight loaded with the heavy armors. So this kind of people used to be employed by the Lord. From the 9th century, there were frequent localized wars in Europe. The amateur peasant soldiers were not sufficient, and good cavalry was needed. So the good cavalry was required, and for that the noble started employing the knights. This led to the growing importance of a new section of people, and these were known as the knights. So knights used to be the basically soldiers, well trained soldiers, and these were the part of the cavalry. The foot soldiers used to be the common peasants. Now, what was the lifestyle of a knight, that we will discuss over here. They were linked to the Lord just as the latter were linked to the king. Like the Lord used to be the vessel of the king, the same way knight used to be the vessel of the Lord. So Lord had to be loyal to the king, and the knight had to be loyal to the Lord. The Lord gave the knight a piece of land. As the king used to give a piece of land to the Lord, the same way the Lord also used to give a piece of the land to the knight, and that piece of land was called the fief, and promised to protect it. The knight used to provide a military service to the Lord in lieu of that piece of the land. You can see that here it is a piece of the land, and here it is a castle which was occupied by the knight and his families, and he was also given a piece of land where the production was done, and which was the major source of the income of the knight. So knight also used to be very, very powerful and rich at that time. So there were many peasants who used to work in the field of the knight as well. The fief could be inherited, means if a knight is having a fief, that was a piece of land which was given to him by the Lord, that could be transferred to his next generation. It extended anything between 1000 to 2000. That piece of land used to be very big. It may be from 1000 to 2000 acres or more, and which was also having the house of the knight and his families, and wine press, etc. also used to be there. Now, what are other features of the lifestyle of the knight? So the land which was given by the Lord to the knight, that was called the fief, and that fief was cultivated by the peasants, and these peasants used to provide service to that knight. The knight did not do agricultural work by his own, because he used to spend maximum time in different tactics, in practicing different tactics with the dummies, and by doing fencing to his agricultural area, so that he can remain upgraded in his skill, and when the time comes to fight, he should not be at the back foot. So he used to practice regularly for that fight. In exchange, the knight paid the Lord a regular fee. The land which was given to the knight, in lieu of that land, the knight was supposed to pay a fee to the Lord, as well as he used to promise to the Lord for a fight in favor of the Lord if the time comes. A knight might serve more than one lord, means a knight could serve more than one lord, but the lord who had employed him, that was the most important lord for him, and if the lord does not give him a permission to fight for another lord, he could not fight, and generally he could not indulge in the private warfare. And there used to be a group of people who used to sing and who used to move from one place to another place, and generally these people were called the minstrels, and the minstrels used to sing the heroic poetry of these knights and the nobles and the bravery of the king of that time. And generally these minstrels used to entertain the elite people when they used to dine in a hall, and in a hall there used to be the minstrel galleries from where they used to sing and entertain the people when they used to take their meal. So that kind of the luxurious life was lived by these knights and the lords. So you can see that this is the image of that kind of a hall where people used to dine. As a result, they required entertainment. So this is the minstrels gallery from where the singer who used to sing the heroic songs of these knights and the lords and the past knights and lords, so they were called the minstrels. So they used to sing from these minstrels gallery and entertain the people when they used to take their meal. So that kind of the luxurious life was lived by the lord as well as the knight.